Hi there, friends. I'm Vasco. I'm part of the team behind the first global Scrum Master Summit. If you're a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master Summit is a place to learn, to share, and to meet new friends. We will have lots of live sessions where you can meet and network with other Scrum Masters from all over the globe. So make sure you check it at bit.ly/SM Summit and the numeral 21. That's bit.ly/SMSUMMIT21. We have 7 amazing keynotes or more, as we are still organizing the conference as I record this, and 8 tracks that feature people like you and thought leaders sharing their insights and knowledge to help you become an awesome Scrum Master. So once again, check it out at bit.ly/SM Summit 21. That's all lowercase, all one word, SM Summit and the numeral 21. I'll see you on the virtual conference floor. All right, now on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday this week with Ines Garcia. Hi, Ines. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
So on Tuesdays, we talk about teams, but as usual, before we go into that, we would like to know, Ines, what might have been one of the most inspiring books you've read that influenced your Scrum Master career?
Well, I must admit that this podcast has influenced me highly. It has acted as a great daily food for thoughts in many commutes to work. And in terms of book specifically, I read a lot. So, and obviously I can say the book that I just published, but I'll give you 2, if I may.
Go for it.
One is Collective Genius. It's a book from Harvard Business Review Press, and it's basically based in research at interview level of how a number of different companies that seems to be doing things differently, like, for example, Pixar, how can they foster innovation? And the title kind of tells you is the power of this collective genius, is how coming together with a purpose makes the difference. And then the second one, which I finished recently, is Doughnut Economics. Quite different, right? But
yeah.
If you look at the perspective of sustainability, so something can last over time, and systems thinking by design, there is just so much to learn from a Scrum Master perspective, I think. For example, one of the concepts that really caught my attention is the actor of the commons. So in economy, we think about the individual, the market, and organizations and government, but also there is this actor of the commons, of the what and how it plays to it. For example, maybe in software technology, we have all this open source concept, and it is part of the economy, and we should not neglect. And another concept like growth. Growth is not an endless entity. If you think about velocity, number of stories, and all of that, growth per se by itself, it can endlessly be. So very, very interesting. I highly recommend both of them.
Absolutely. And you did say that you published a book. So tell us a little bit more about that book.
So last year I published a book called Becoming More Agile Whilst Delivering Salesforce. I could have called the book by delivering value, but just because I'm very involved in the Salesforce community, I thought that was the right niche to go for. But it's basically a book full of the stories of teams that I work with. So in every single chapter, you have the story of a team, you'll have a tip, and you have an experiment to go and try out. Because it's been in my mind for a very long time. And after a while, at the beginning of last year, I took a month off and I went off to travel in Japan, and so many things surfaced from really having a headspace, and this book came about. And seeing projects being way too long, over budget, stressed teams, and all in all, very unhappy people, it kind of breaks my heart. And I think publishing the book with real stories that can bring joy to what we do every day was a good way to scale the message. So.
Absolutely. Looking forward to reading that book right now. So Ines, thank you for sharing all of those resources. Now we turn our attention to teams and how sometimes they become their own worst enemies. So walk us through the story of a team. Tell us a little bit about their context and maybe what project they were working on, but especially pay attention and talk to us about those, not obstacles, but patterns that emerged in the behavior, in the relationships within the team that ultimately led to problems.
I think one of the most dangerous one we touched base yesterday is about going through the motions without emotions. So Scrum framework is very, very easy to understand, but very difficult to master. And I have encountered teams with these antipatterns, like our story yesterday of the motions of the daily being a bingo status report rather than planning, the team making a plan for their next 24 hours with a common goal together, that collective genius. Or planning for the sprint becoming like a shopping list. So with that list, how can we craft a goal if all sounds like a bit of business as usual? And I think one of the most painful ones from a Scrum Master perspective, I think, is the silent retrospective. So I used to run with quite open questions, the retrospective. And there was a team that they've been doing Agile in their own terms for 4 years. Yet they never had time for retrospective. And as we started to pause at the end of every cycle, there was silence. Oh gosh, it really hurt. It was tough. So since then, I mostly facilitate retrospective in a co-creating setting, such as splitting the groups so that all voices can be heard, or bringing games. I really love games in my own time. So that with games you can bring up energy. Like, for example, the invention of the card game a couple years ago is basically that. It came about from efforts of me trying to re-energize these ceremonies. I think life is too perishable to waste it in boring, useless meetings. So.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that is for me important as a Scrum Master is exactly to find, a mechanism, a facilitation technique, maybe even a connection with some people on the team to overcome exactly that anti-pattern, that type of behavior. What do you use when you encounter a team that is kind of stuck in that anti-pattern? What do you use to help them get over it?
So I think co-creating is a great idea. So I have something visual. I'm a big fan of visuals to convey agreement. Nowadays, using tools like Mural or Miro or whatever you have, like even Google Drawings, anything that multiple people can paint together is a great way. So splitting people in different teams. So we all interact differently. Some people will be happy to bring their voice faster than others. I also like to play like a mirror back to the team. So don't really know where I picked that up, but I could draw on the side while the team having different interactions, like a little person per each one of the team members, and then I fill up how much that person is talking. So by the end of the session, I can show that drawing where you can see how full or little people has been contributing, and I show it back to them. So it's for them to consume that information however they think is better.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of showing them that their level of engagement, but perhaps even commitment with that idea of constant and continuous improvement.
Yeah, and it is really important to have a healthy conflict rather than an artificial harmony. I think it's important to poke so that the teams are aware of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Healthy conflict rather than artificial fake harmony. I like that. Thank you very much for sharing that, Ines. Tuesday is Team Day here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. But tomorrow we talk about something that goes beyond the work we do with the teams. We will talk about how to lead change and what our guests have learned from leading and participating in change programs during their career. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.